As a lot of you guys know, I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness, right? And I've had an endless amount of problems with my family as a result. A lot of people don't know this about Jehovah's Witnesses, but they practice shunning. Now, shunning feels like, or sounds like, or seems like something the Amish do, just some quaint thing they take part in. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's more than just that. Unfortunately, it ruins lives, and Jehovah's Witnesses intentionally take part in it. So let me explain what happened to me with my mom and my shunning story. Now, I've told my shunning story before, but there's a new development here, and I'm sick of it, okay? I'm sick of this. The way Jehovah's Witnesses frame their shunning is, it's a loving thing. It's a good thing. They're trying to help the person. I was in 11th grade, okay? I was a child. I was in 11th grade when I was kicked out of my house. My mom told me to get my out. I had nowhere to go. You ever walked out of a house with nothing with you, just kind of walked out to the end of the street and realized, I'm homeless. I have nowhere to go. This is it. This is the end of the line. What am I supposed to do now? Does that ever happen to you? That is a situation and experience that is very painful and difficult to deal with. Something that not just anybody understands, okay? It's something that I have in common with the people that sleep on the subway trains. I live in New York City now. It's something that I have in common with the people that sleep on the subway trains. I understand. Because of Jehovah's Witnesses. Because of my mom. When I left in 11th grade, I might have been in 10th. I'm not sure exactly when it was. There's this girl I knew from school. Her name was Katie. She and I are still friends. She is the mother of my kid now. I had a cell phone. That's all I had. The shirt on my back, the shoes on my feet, and I had a cell phone. And I texted her. And I had a job. I worked at Burger King. So I texted her and I said, can I stay with you for a while? When you're standing at the end of a street corner, your mind starts going everywhere. Who can I communicate with? Who can I contact? What can I do to get myself out of this situation? So I send a message to Katie and I say, can I stay at your house? And she says, yes, but I live with my grandparents and they can't know that you're here. So you have to sneak in my bedroom window and you have to stay in my bedroom without them finding out. So her bedroom, it's on the first floor, but it's kind of high up. It was a solid 7-8 feet above the ground, right? So I had to jump and grab on and kind of pull myself up and fall in. You know, the bed was underneath the window so I could fall in easily. That's what I did for 3 weeks. I stayed in her bedroom. You know why? Because my mom didn't want me in her life anymore. Because I stopped believing the way that Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Now, there's a point to this, okay? I was late for the podcast this week. Let me tell you why. The first time in 6 years, I've been late for the podcast. Now, I'm going to get to the point, but I want to give it a little bit of lead up first. Do you have any idea what's involved in hiding from a full family? Living in a home without a family finding out? It wasn't just Katie that lived there and me in her bedroom. And it wasn't just her grandparents either. Her grandma, her grandpa lived downstairs. Older people, say they're 60s, 70s at the time. It was her uncle, too. Her uncle lived upstairs. There were 3 bedrooms. He had 2 kids. So it was her uncle and 2 kids. And they're little tykes, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, somewhere in there. Running up and down the halls, peering in windows, peering in doors. So to hide the fact that I lived with this girl from the family for that period of time, I had to pee in Gatorade bottles. I had no other choice. That is what Jehovah's Witnesses made me do. Pee in Gatorade bottles. So I wasn't homeless. You don't realize what's involved in hiding like that, in being homeless like that. You don't realize until you're there. She used to go out there and get food from dinner and bring it back so that she and I could both eat. That's what my mom did to me. I had to plan when I was going to use the bathroom, which luckily was directly across the hall. Yeah, I was pissing in Gatorade bottles every day, every few hours. But I couldn't do that all the time. I had to use the bathroom sometimes. So I had to plan when this is going to happen. I had to plan when these people were in bed. Everyone was asleep, dead of night, not a squeaky board to be found. Sneak over to the bathroom. That's what my mom did to me. Now, my mom did a lot for me when I was little. I had an abusive father, terribly abusive. I've talked about him. Physically abusive, like beat me. Talked about him on my channel before, not going to get into it right now. And my mom, she stepped up. She protected me. She stood in for me when he was doing that kind of thing from time to time. But she also believed him when he lied about this stuff, when he claimed that I was the one that instigated it, that I was the one that was the problem, that I was this and that and blah, blah, blah. She also believed him in many of those circumstances. Again, I'm getting to a point. Just bear with me. Okay, there's a reason why I was late to this podcast, and I'm going to get there. I just want to set the groundwork so you guys understand what I'm going through right now. There's a point in my life, 15, 16 years old maybe, where my dad stood up, walked toward me. My mom got in his way, stood in his way, looked him up and down. This guy was about 6'5" and 400 pounds. He was huge. And my mom was not. Okay, my mom was 150 pounds, 5'6". And she stood in his way. And what did he do? He put his arm on her shoulder and knocked her on her ass. Came after me anyways. That's the life that I came from. And that's where I ended up, pissing in Gatorade bottles, as a direct result of my mother and what she did to me. Now, it took me 15 years, okay? I left the religion I was disfellowshipped at 18 years old, officially, like judicial committee. They said, you can't be a part of the religion anymore. It's official, all that stuff. 18th birthday, basically. That was it. But there was a point in time when I still believed it for many years, until I was maybe 23. So I believed it for like 5 more years. And I still remembered my mom standing up, getting in front of my dad, and being knocked on her ass by him for me. I remember that. And for that reason, I wanted to give her every opportunity. I wanted to give her every chance, every possibility I could to love her, to appreciate her, to appreciate who she is and what she did for me. Well, come to find out, she didn't do that for me. She did that because she believed that it was her duty as a mother. The moment I left the religion behind, which, by the way, the reason I was disfellowshipped from the religion was because I went to a party and I drank some alcohol. The moment I was disfellowshipped, it was over. I was pissing in Gatorade bottles rather than being helped by somebody like her, somebody who could actually help me. So, that brings us to modern day. Here's why I was late for my podcast this week. After a while, I came out to the grandparents with whom I was living. I was hiding in this room, pissing in Gatorade bottles. I formally met them. I worked at Burger King at the time. I knew a guy there who rented me a bedroom for $150 a month. Let me stay in a little bedroom there. And I was dating their granddaughter, so I formally met them, Sue and Charlie, and they took me in like their own kid, like I was their own child. They did not have to do everything that they did for me. I celebrated my first Christmas with them. The reason I'm broken up about this is because Sue died last year. Sue's daughter, Dee. Sue and Dee, my kids' grandmother and great-grandmother, the most important and influential people in my life. And you know what my mom did? She refused to talk to me. That's unacceptable. You know what she did? She befriended Sue. So she could convince Sue that she wasn't all bad. Sue knew what my dad did to me. I told her in vivid detail everything. I told Sue over the years everything my mom did to me. All of it. And what did my mom do? She befriended her. So my mom lives in Connecticut. Anytime she comes to West Virginia, which is once a year, or once every couple of years, she calls up Sue. She hangs out with her. Comes over to her house, sits with her for hours and hours, days, talks to her, tells her she loves her, tells her she's the best, talks about, casually, how I just hate her, how I'm just terrible to her, how I'm just... I've just been awful to my mom. Like, my mom didn't do anything to deserve this, and I'm just so mean to her, so awful to her, and I won't even let her see Kylie. I won't let her see her granddaughter. I'm just a terrible person to her. That's what my mom did for the past 10 years. But it didn't work. My mom did not succeed in turning Sue against me. What my mom did succeed in doing is convincing Sue that my mom is actually a good person, a deeply good person, and that I just haven't given her a fair shot, and that I need to be nice to her and honest with her and good to her, and I just need to talk to her and be friendly with her and do anything that I can to win her back, because my mom is just a good person. Well, Sue died last year, and so did Dee. So I thought it was over. I thought I could move on with my life without having to worry about my mom with me anymore. I thought my mom, now that Sue and Dee are gone, I thought my mom just had no more people left to use against me, to use as a bludgeon to hurt me. But I was wrong. Just a few days ago, I get a text message from Kylie, who is crying, because my mom texted her and said, I have video of your grandmother, Sue, that maybe you haven't seen, that I thought maybe you'd like to see. So, in case you didn't know this, my mom is a deeply manipulative person, just a terrible person to the very core of her being. A narcissistic, evil person is what my mom is, okay? So what she's doing is twofold. First, she's trying to establish a relationship with my daughter. She's trying to build a relationship with somebody in my life so that she can do exactly what she did to Sue and to Dee, attempt to turn them against me. The first thing she did was attempt to reestablish a relationship with Kylie, which she doesn't have. She doesn't have a relationship with her. And the second thing she did was she did that by attempting to manipulate her, by attempting to, she knew she was emotionally invested in Sue and what Sue was up to, what Sue was doing. And the videos she might have about Sue, she knew she was emotionally invested in that. And you know what she did? She used that love against her. She is the most manipulative person alive. as far as I'm concerned. Now, Kylie came home crying after getting that text message. You know why? Because she knows my mom. She knows who she is. She knows what she's done. She knows all of the things that she's done behind people's backs in an attempt to turn them against me. She is aware, fully aware, of who my mom is and what she's done. So she comes home crying because she gets this text message from my mom, who's very obviously attempting to use her to hurt me, the same way that my mom attempted to use Sue and Dee to hurt me. You know what? I'm going to blow it off. Ignore it. Forget it. Not even going to pay any attention. Move on with my life. She's a scumbag. I'm going to forget it, and I'm going to continue on. And then Kylie's mom gets a text message. Past couple days, gets a text message. Same thing. Hey, I have video of your grandmother, Sue, who died recently. I would love to send those videos to you if you can confirm this is the correct phone number. Katie is so disgusted by my mom and who she is and what she's done that, you know what? Let me just tell you what I decided to text my mom. After everything she's done, I texted my mom. And I told her how I felt about what she was very obviously doing. So I texted my mom directly. You know what? I'm done playing games. Kylie is coming home crying because she's very obviously being manipulated. And she knows she's being manipulated emotionally by my mom. And everybody in my life, everybody around me, anyone who I've ever been close to has had their shot at being manipulated by my mom. So let me tell you what I said to her. I texted her myself. I said, "You've attempted to text Kylie and Katie and anybody else in my life you possibly could. I can only imagine you're doing that in an attempt to hurt me. Let me make it clear. Nobody wants you around. Kylie cries about the fact that you won't leave her alone. Kylie is disgusted by you. I eagerly await the day I find out that you're in a coffin. So leave me alone. Leave everybody in my life alone. Nobody wants you around. You wanted to separate from me and make friends with Jehovah's Witnesses, so do it. You've lost a son for that choice you've made. Katie and Kylie are blocking you because they're disgusted by how you've treated me too. You are a disgusting, evil person. Don't bother trying to contact any of us again because we're done with you. I will find out from my sister when you're dead." Now, I got a set of messages from my dad, who died last year, on Facebook. About 10 messages. It was things like, he's just trying to start conversation, you know? Like I said, physically abusive to me, okay? Felt bad, allegedly. Told me he felt bad and was trying to reestablish a relationship with me, and I didn't have it. I didn't want any of it. So I ignored him. And his final message to me, after just being nice and trying to reestablish that communication with me, my dad's final message was, "Why the won't you talk to me?" Now, if you watch the video on my channel about why my dad didn't have a funeral, why us kids didn't even give him a funeral, if you wonder about my dad, just go watch that video, and I will explain exactly why I had a couple of the worst parents alive, and my dad was up there, and I wanted nothing to do with him. But you know what? That message I got from him on Facebook, those 10 or so messages over the course of a few years, I kind of regret not responding. I kind of regret not trying to rebuild that relationship with my dad. My mom, on the other hand, I said to her, and I read this, and I'll quote it again. They're blocking you because they're disgusted by how you've treated me too. You're a disgusting, evil person. Don't bother trying to contact any of us again because we're done with you. I'll find out from my sister when you're dead. I eagerly await the day I find out that you're in a coffin. I know what it's like to lose somebody that you really care about. Like Sue. My mom is not somebody who deserves to be fondly remembered. And I am completely comfortable saying that I hope that she gets cancer. So anyways, the reason that I was late today, at least partly, among other things, I've been playing Breath of the Wild 2. I don't take it lightly when I say I hope somebody gets cancer. I've seen cancer. Okay, I know what cancer does to people. I have seen people who did not deserve to die lose their life. Truly good people who were just out there to help others, who wanted nothing for themselves, who only wanted to help the people around them. That's it. I have known people like that. That's not who my mom is. I say with complete confidence and with a completely straight face, I hope she gets cancer. So I've been late for everything. Past few days, past week. I've been late for basically everything. You know what? I didn't even give the full context. I didn't even explain fully exactly the situation as it stands. So, yeah, over the past week, I've completely dropped the ball. I haven't sent out an email for my email list. I haven't uploaded things to my website. I mean, I've been releasing videos regularly. When I have somebody like my mom doing this kind of thing to me, it's got me torn up. I hope she just dies and leaves my life, and I don't have to worry about her ever again. That would be fantastic. Unfortunately, she's born in 1956, so she's, 67 years old? How many years does she have left? 30? 20, at least, I'd say, maybe 15? You know, I spent my first Christmas with Sue. She bought me nothing because she didn't know I was going to be there, but she always gets extra little gifts, extra little things for people that she can give out in case she forgets somebody, or in case someone new shows up, or, you know, in case somebody is a gift short or whatever. She always has these little things, and she gave me one of those things. My first ever Christmas present, a blanket, a fleece blanket. She deserves to be remembered. My mom deserves to die of cancer. So anyways, that's why I was late. I apologize for the long-winded explanation. I've been preoccupied with all of that. And as a matter of fact, not only was I late for the podcast, but I've been late for nearly everything over the past week. I'm just dropping the ball. I'm sorry. I'm trying, guys. There is nobody on planet Earth that deserves to be remembered more than Sue. Maybe as much as Sue, but certainly not more. She's just a good person. And my mom used that good quality against her, as is her way. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments. Is it wrong for me to wish death on somebody like that? I don't wish death on anybody. Ever. But one person. Trey Coyuenos, who sounds just like my late grandma. Yeah. Well, Dee died before Sue, unfortunately. So Dee was Sue's daughter. Katie was Dee's daughter. And then Kylie is Katie's daughter. So kind of the line of succession there. And Sue called me crying and said to me when she'd already lost another child years ago, Billy. She lost a son, Billy, when he was 25, back in the 80s, I think, or maybe the 90s. Anyway, she lost another kid. He was only like in his 20s, and it was so hard. She described it as the hardest thing a human being can experience, to bury your own kid. And she had to do it again with Dee because she died of heart complications. She was obese. She wasn't eating or drinking in a healthy way or anything, and it just caught up to her, you know? Dee was, I don't know, 400 pounds, something like that. I mean, she just didn't eat well, and it caught up, and she just died. And Sue called me crying, and she said, why is it that Dee is gone, but Trump is here? Why is it that Kenneth Copeland is here and Dee is gone? It's just, it feels like there's no justice sometimes, you know? Not an easy situation at all, obviously. It's not easy. And the sad part is, my mom is setting out to make it harder. My mom is intentionally taking additional steps to make my life more difficult. You know, I live 2 hours away from her, give or take. I don't need to have any contact with her at all. She, for all intents and purposes, she could have dropped off the face of the earth and I wouldn't have even known. She could have died 5 years ago and I wouldn't even know. Because I just don't talk to her. I don't communicate with her or anybody that she knows. She sets out to contact people that I know and befriend them and try to build a relationship with them and then tear me down in the process. It is some shit. How does she process it? How does she logically think that there's anything okay about what she's doing? How does she think Jehovah will love her after doing something like that? Thanks for opening up. Somewhere, some other person will see this and you'll open their eyes. I hope so. I hope so. You know, that's the idea. After seeing my mom stand up in front of my dad and get pushed over like that, I believed that I would have respect for that woman for the rest of my life. And then I discovered all of the truly depraved, messed up, disgusting stuff that she's been willing to do in the name of her religion, in the name of just hurting me. That's it. Anyway, just discussing. We love you, Owen. Thank you so much, oh my Josh. I appreciate that.